getting the show together, getting some things uploaded. I'm Tony Katz. This may or may not be future swag. I don't know about this one. I don't know. I think the logo needs to be more intense. But welcome. Welcome. Good to have you here. We're about to get started. And Trump is man of the year. Oh, the left has got to be super angry about this. Super angry. So they get to the New York Stock Exchange and they look up, getting ready for that bell to ring. And who do they have smiling down at them, ringing the bell, bringing in the good times? It's Donald Trump. Time Magazine's Person of the Year. We say person because we can't say man anymore because we don't know what a man is or a woman is, or at least they don't, or it's somehow more inclusive. I don't actually care. I think the greater argument here is that Trump was the guy they told us was Hitler. They said that Trump was the next Hitler. They said he was a threat to democracy. You can't vote for Trump. Trump is pure, unadulterated evil. Evil, I say. And if you vote for him, you are amongst the worst people who ever lived in all of society, ever, ever, ever. And then the next thing you know,
now it's springtime for Hitler and Germany. Deutschland
they make him the man of the year, person of the year. What's it like for them? Having been lied to, and then watching the liars act like nothing changed at all. Nothing happened. Nothing's different. It's always been this way. We've never been at war with Eurasia. We've always been at war with East Asia. What's it like? The lies, the deceit, the hate. Oh, if I'm the left, I'm pretty outraged today. Tony Katz today. What are you doing, everybody? 833-GOT-TONY, 833-468-8669, 833-GOT-TONY. That's how you get to be a part of the show. So what is that right there? Something bothering me. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Do that immediately, if not sooner. If you would, I'd greatly appreciate it. Be a part of what we're doing over there. Why does this matter so much? Well, first, let's get to Trump being there, and he's doing the interview on CNBC with Jim Cramer. Now, normally, when you see Jim Cramer, you just you run, because Jim Cramer is always wrong, and you got to remind people. Right. It's going to be okay. Jim Cramer's doing the interview. And Trump is like, the problem is people have been economically abused.
Well, we're going to be having a lot of talks with China. We have a good relationship with China. I have a surprising relationship. Now, when the COVID came in, I sort of cut it off. That was a step too far. That was, as they say, a bridge too far. But we've been talking and discussing with President Xi some things and other world leaders. And I think we're going to do very well all around. And we've been abused as a country. We've been badly abused from an economic standpoint, I think, and even militarily. We put up all the money, they put up nothing, and then they abuse us on the economy. And we just can't let that happen. We're not going to be abused anymore. We put America first, but we're also going to help other countries.
I think that there are some people in Trump's orbit, in MAGA world, who think that there's not going to be any more financial aid and Trump's not going to do this, not going to do that. That is not the case. Remember, Trump's guiding principles, I light my cigar here, is the first rule of Trumpism is that Trump wins. And the second rule of Trumpism is that a deal can always be made as long as it adheres to the first rule of Trumpism. So there are going to be plenty of people who are supportive of Trump who see things that they aren't expecting or aren't necessarily going to like. But he's right about the economy. And then he started talking about corporate tax rates.
Well, I think I've always said, to me, stock market is all of it, all of it together. It's very important. It's an honor to be here at New York Stock Exchange. I sort of joked that I actually bought the building across the street because the stock exchange was here. It's a big deal.
40, it's a nice building.
40 Wall Street. So, look, we're gonna do things I think that haven't been really done before. We're gonna be cutting taxes still further. As you know, we got it down to 21%. We're going to bring it down even below that. You pay 21 if you don't build here, and meaning your product or whatever it is you're building. And if you do, we're going to try getting it down to 15%. But you have to build your product, make your product in the USA.
This was a conversation about investment the other day. If you put up $1 billion, we'll expedite the permits. If you're a foreigner, $1 billion. If you're an American, 300 million. And of course, we should have less permitting, less regulation, President-elect Trump. That's what we want. And we need to stay on top of him about that, which is a subject I will get to coming up in a little bit. And then Trump talked it up about crypto.
I think so. We're going to do something great with crypto because we don't want China or anybody else, and not just China, but others are embracing it, and we want to be the head. We're going to be ahead of AI. We're going to be way ahead of AI, and we've got to produce tremendous amounts of electricity. You know that. It's unbelievable when you think that we need more than twice what we already have. If you think that's pretty for a specific industry, but we'll be able to do it. We have Lee Zeldin in charge of the environment. He's going to be giving us very strong approvals, I think, and he's going to make sure everything's good and clean and proper, but he's going to give us very fast approvals.
So we should be clear. I do own crypto. I do not own enough Bitcoin to count. I have fractional amounts of Bitcoin. I do own other things. I don't usually discuss them. If I ever engage any conversation about crypto, I will tell you if I own it. So just as a matter of conversation, Bitcoin is now at 101,664. That's where it's at. And of course, it changes all the time. Dogecoin, which I do own Doge, is at 41 cents. Just so you know. I always like to be honest. The embrace of crypto is fun. Because of the embrace of crypto is, of course, different than the idea of embracing, say, a digital currency in the United States, which I vehemently oppose. But all that to the side, here's Time Magazine putting Donald Trump on the cover. If you are the political left, what's this like? You were told and you voted and you went out there and told your friends about this threat. You made the TikTok videos and you cried, begging people not to vote for Donald Trump. And then he wins and you see Joe Biden meeting with him like it's just a normal Tuesday. And you see Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski heading down to Mar-a-Lago to say hello and, I don't know, have a sandwich together. And you see Trump getting this applause everywhere. And the next thing you know, that picture of Donald Trump on the cover of Time Magazine as Person of the Year, and I'm telling you right now, that is an absolutely fantastic photo. I mean, that is terrific. On a scale of 1 to, yeah, that's the picture you want. That's the picture you want. Unquestionable right there. You got lied to everywhere if you're on the political left. On every subject, in every way, you were lied to. What is that like? I guess maybe we should actually take a step back and ask ourselves a different question. Do they know? Do they know they were lied to? Do they know that they were lied to every step of the way? Do they know they were lied to when they were told that Trump was a threat to democracy? Do they know that they were lied to when they were told that Trump is a racist or that Trump is an anti-Semite? Do they know that? Are they aware of that? Are they still watching those places that told them all of these lies? Are they still thinking that somehow this photo of Donald Trump is the one that people think of? That photo of Trump, the mugshot? Think of this. Here we were less than a year ago, and the only way people saw Donald Trump was, oh my gosh, criminal. Well, look what he did. Look how he broke the law here. Look how he violated that there. Look at how he took the classified documents here. Oh, the indictments. Oh, he's going to jail. Oh, this. Oh, that. Oh, look, the mugshot. That's where we started. This is where we ended up. We started with the mugshot. We ended with Trump as Person of the Year. Why hasn't the left lost their minds? How come they're not broken? Think of what they were told. They were told Trump is guilty of all these things. They were never told, well, wait a second, what does this actually mean? Trump guilty of 34 counts. Never once told about how Alvin Bragg manipulated the system. Trump took classified documents, but never once discussed the fact that he's the president of the United States and he might be allowed to take classified documents, even though that might be wrong to do morally. It could be legal. And no discussion of how the documents he was told to pick up because they were someplace else, and the office said, hey, you got to go get these things. Well, where do you want them? We'll just put a lock on the door. And so he did. And then they decided a raid was necessary? No context, just the same message, day in and day out. How could they not feel betrayed? How could they not feel lost, lied to? How could they not feel just beyond awful, beyond horrible, beyond angry? How could they look at these people with anything other than contempt, those who lied to them on the daily? And the answer is, I don't know, but they do. I'm here to tell you that, yes, MSNBC's ratings are absolutely horrific, and that MSNBC has not changed a single thing about what they do. They have changed nothing. Ungats. They've changed zero. They're not about to. As I've argued, I think quite effectively, they can't. They have their own personal brands to consider and the people who support those personal brands. And they know that one day MSNBC is going to cease to exist. So they better get their deals, get their people all entrenched now. So they'll follow them to whatever podcast network or whatever other thing they do. I'm not anti-podcast. I'm just saying this is where they're going to go, or whatever little video series they put together, what have you. What about the voter? Well, the voter isn't going to change because they've been told that abortion is the single most important thing in the world. And those Republicans, they don't want you to have an abortion. They want to control your body like it's Handmaid's Tale. And so even under the reality of the lies, they'll just keep on keeping on because it's easier than admitting that they were lied to. But you're going to stare at that magazine cover to the extent that you stare at magazine covers, and there's only one thing left. The left was lied to every single day by the left. How many more ways do we need to see this? They told you that Joe Biden was fine when he was not. And then you saw that debate and you're like, how come nobody told us? They didn't tell you because they didn't want you to know. They just wanted you to do what you were told. Then they told you that Kamala Harris was actually smart and capable, and the campaign was full of joy and vibes, and her own internal polling showed her behind every step of the way. And the media lied, and the pollsters engaged in fraud or acts of desperation, whatever you want to call it. And Kamala Harris loses the election, and loses it in a pretty good fashion, not an expertise fashion, I should say a massive chasm, but a good-sized chasm. And people said, well, how'd we lose? Trump was such a threat. And instead of saying you lied to us, they say, well, it was sexism and racism. That's what did it. And then Biden shakes Trump's hand. Jill Biden is all googly eyes with Trump at Notre Dame. And then here he is on the cover of Time magazine. How many more times can the left be lied to by the left? And the answer is, I don't know. But they will. Because to admit that you have been lied to is the hardest thing to do in the world. As the expression was explained to me, and I was stunned that I didn't know the expression until really this year. You know, I was this many years old when I learned. Nobody is more committed to the con than the mark. A con is a confidence man, somebody who tries to bring you into a situation to which they gain your confidence and then they take from you, they steal from you, or they utilize you to steal from somebody else. It's a con man, a confidence man, and the person that they pick to run the scam on, that's known as the mark. In order for the con, the game, the lie, the fraud, the manipulation, the criminal act to work, the mark has to believe the con man. They have to believe the whole thing. It's like believing the Nigerian prince. The people who sent their money to the Nigerian prince actually believe that there's a Nigerian prince. They believe it in the face of all evidence. Because to admit that you were wrong, that you were lied to, that you were misled, that you were taken, that you were hoodwinked, hornswoggled, whatever it is you want to call it, is too much for the mind to handle, too much for the soul to comprehend. So you continue to believe it. Nobody is more committed to the con than the mark. That's today's Democratic Party. And they have seen it when it comes to a handshake, when it comes to googly eyes, and now the cover of Time magazine. And I don't know how they can continue to believe the con, but they will. Saddest thing I ever did see. I'm Tony Katz. Guys, what's going on? Good to be with you. Weird. I don't know what's going on with our with the stream. We don't seem to be in all the places we usually are. I don't know what I'm missing there. I don't know. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe that's what's it. Meanwhile, good to be with you. Good to be here. Good to be doing the thing. I wasn't so much planning on the live stream today, but the whole Man of the Year thing. The whole Man of the Year thing is just too freaking spectacular. And later today, I'll be on Sean Spicer's show on the 1st. We discussed this a little bit. The questions like Trump is so popular now and people really love him. I don't know if any of that part is true. I think that people do feel optimistic about the future compared to Joe Biden. I think that's absolutely 1,000% true. They do feel like that there's some hope for the future and feel good about that. But I don't know if they like Trump. I will say I think it'd be irrational to not understand how affable he's coming off and how at ease he's coming off. And part of that has to do with how well this transition is going. He's going to get Pete Hegseth. He's got to lose Chavez DeRemer, that's her name, a former congresswoman from Oregon. And I think he should lose RFK, but I'm going to lose that one. I think RFK is going to get confirmed. I just think that's wrong. He's going to get his people. He's going to get Kash Patel. Pam Bondi's a way better pick than Matt Gaetz. Way better pick. And we might actually see good things happen. We might see things build. Excited about that. Overjoyed about that. And I think that there, again, this is a hopefulness. I think people are seeing the ease of how he's doing things, a competence in how things are being done. And they're saying, well, this is nice. This is very, 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 very nice. I still don't think it translates into people love the guy and they'll walk through fire for him. No, I don't think that's it, because I don't actually think that's the way a lot of people act. I don't think it's the way they are. Rather, I think that what people are is, don't stop telling me about you. It's all about me. People care about their lives, and I think they're right. By the way, that's 3 logos. Well, 4 if you consider the video there. I might have an ego problem. But it's good marketing, right? Like, that's what you're supposed to do it? No? Send me a mug. I'll use that. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'll put up an address. You send me a mug. I'll use the mug. Yeah. So I agree. We're having a little bit of there's a streaming issue. I don't know, but we'll fix it. No big deal. I'm just going to keep going. Glad you guys are here. Leave your questions in the comments. And yes, Jill loves Trump. It is adorable. Let's talk drones, shall we? Let's get into that. So about those drones in New Jersey, there are drones flying around, and these are very large drones. Some people say the size of an SUV. Where do they come from? Who do they belong to? Tony Katz today. New Jersey is saying nothing. New Jersey isn't talking about it. There was a member of their General Assembly who showed up for a meeting, and New Jersey State Police were going to explain what was going on, and these people were going to tell them this and that. And the guy an hour later left the meeting. He's like, what was I even doing here? Nobody knows anything. They didn't tell me anything. They didn't tell us anything. They didn't share anything. They didn't even say, hey, if we had these tools, if you just would help us get this, and this, we could figure this out. They didn't ask for anything. They don't know anything. It's pathetic. Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey said these were Iranian in nation coming off an Iranian mothership. Now, he did not elaborate. At least I didn't hear an elaboration. Does he mean something in the sky, something in the seas? I have a hard time with that. I think Iran has too many problems with the collapse of Syria, with dealing with the threat of Israel that has already killed them, not their people, but Iranian leadership in Tehran, what it's done to Hezbollah and totally destroying that organization, what it's done to Hamas, which I'd love to see those final holdouts be done with already. I don't think they've got the time to screw with the U.S. like this. I would much more think that what they would be doing is sending people across the border to commit acts of violence. Like, I totally see that. I mean, I will bet you, by the way, that's already here and is going to happen. Our porous, terrible, poorly handled border. But some mothership sending drones? Iran? I don't see it. Meanwhile, we're not getting answers. I think we need them. I'm Tony Katz. Guys, welcome back. Good to be with you. We'll be getting with the radio show in just a minute. I'm just setting up here, grabbing some audio. This Elizabeth Warren commie monster is the best way to describe her. What does it matter to me if she's insulted? Not, who cares? She is an absolute monster of a person. And this excusing of murder is just, it is all left all the time. But we're going to discuss it. We're going to break it down. It's coming right now. Glad you guys are here. Smoke them if you got them. Elizabeth Warren is a commie monster. You can tell her I said so. My name is Tony Katz, K-A-T-Z. That's how you spell it. Bring me in front of a Senate panel. I will call her a commie monster to her face. Now, you say to me, Tony, it's kind of like tough guy talk. I get it. We shouldn't engage in tough guy talk. That happens way too much on social media and other places, and it's just not valuable. But she is what she is. She has, and I'm not going to say unbeknownst to her, there's no doubt that she knows. She has now advocated for violence in a way that is kind of hard to comprehend. In a conversation she had with Joy Reid, such shock. And I don't get me wrong, there's no part of me that wants to share things MSNBC does. This is a group of people who are broken, who are lost, who don't connect with America. They're in every way. They're just a dreadful mess. But they keep putting these people on air to engage in the worst parts of society. Elizabeth Warren is talking about the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, and we already know the rest. The guy that got arrested, I'm not using names anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm not giving this guy publicity. The left is so desirous of turning this guy into some kind of folk hero. Rolling Stone is going to put him on the cover like they did the Sarnev bro. They're going to talk about, oh, he's got great abs. Oh, he's such a ruggedly good-looking guy. Oh, my gosh, he's so metrosexual hot. I don't know what they're going to say. It's going to be some mix of those kinds of things. We've already seen that people are willing to joke about, hey, maybe I can visit him in prison for a little visit. You know what I mean? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So you're attracted to killers. You think killing is good. You think it's okay to shoot somebody in the streets. Well, I mean, it's just you can only push people to a certain point. They'll only be pushed so far. Pushed so far? Tony, you say to me, who would say that? Let's bring it back to Elizabeth Warren and this conversation that took place from this communist monster on MSNBC.
We've been talking a lot about this Luigi Mangione, the case about the United Healthcare CEO. People are very angry at United Healthcare, I think for good reason, denying care and the whole system. And we were just talking in the previous block, killing a CEO is not the way you change. You have to regulate them, right? And so we've got attempts to try to rein in some of these big businesses. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was your creation. The Trump administration wants to get rid of it. That
good, because the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau is a terrible idea, with unelected bureaucrats having further and further control of your finances, trying to dictate terms to financial companies, terms they know nothing about and companies they know nothing about and certainly don't know how to run. It was a terrible idea when it happened. The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau should be ripped out by the root. Yes, do away with it. Oh, you don't change healthcare companies by killing anybody, you regulate it. Maybe we should ask ourselves what regulation we already have that isn't working, that's increasing costs, that's creating some level of issue, to the extent that any issue is being created regarding United Healthcare. I'm supposed to listen to the left's argument They're cheering murder. I'm not listening to their argument. But wait for Elizabeth Warren.
It's like protecting people from like credit card fraud. Yeah. What happens if that goes away?
So look, terrible for individuals, but stop and think overall about the social contract. You know, part of the deal in how we've kept this democracy, this economy, this country on a fairly steady path for more than 200 years has been that those at the top pay a little more in taxes, are a little less rich than they otherwise might be. And everybody else at least gets a chance.
Yeah.
And what happens when you turn this into the billionaires run it all is they get the opportunity to squeeze every last penny.
Yeah.
And look, we'll say it over and over. Violence is never the answer. This guy gets a trial who's allegedly killed the CEO of United Health. But you can only push people so far. And then they start to take matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
Monster. Absolute monster. People will only be pushed so far. You can imagine how they felt being pushed when they feel an election was stolen from them. To which Elizabeth Warren believes that everybody associated with January 6th should be in jail for forever. But here, and notice how she glosses over killing of a CEO. Oh, yeah, it's wrong. We know, blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the big point here. Her entire thought process of America is just so completely horrific in every single way. So let's take a moment to go back over what she said. Never mind what Joy Reid put out there. Never mind that silliness. Let's take a moment to break down what it is that Elizabeth Warren is saying. The very idea that we should be, that America is based on taxing the rich. Does she understand how the country even started? And the answer is I am now convinced more than ever that she doesn't have a clue, which is not surprising at all. Let's break it down.
Now it's time for a breakdown.
Breakdown, go ahead, give it to me. Breakdown, honey, take me through the night.
So let's go through it step by step and piece by piece. This terrible, terrible commie, this commie monster, Elizabeth Warren. Let's start with Joy Reid again.
We've been talking a lot about this Luigi Mangione, the case about the United Healthcare CEO. People are very angry at United Healthcare. I think for good reason, denying care and the whole system. And we were just talking in the previous block. Killing a CEO is not the way you change. You have to regulate them, right? And so we've got attempts to try to rein in some of these big businesses. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was your creation. The Trump administration wants to get rid of it. That is like protecting people from like credit card fraud. Yeah.
No. You're arguing that it's protecting people from themselves because they're willing to charge on credit cards that are charging 28+%. That isn't credit card fraud. Credit card fraud is when you use somebody else's name and social security number to get a credit card and then charge on it. That would be credit card fraud. When you buy something and then claim that you never got it so it doesn't get paid for. So you didn't have to pay for it and then you go about reselling it. That could be seen as credit card fraud. No, what you're opposed to is a company charging an interest rate. And I'm a guy who got a lot of issues with Visa, MasterCard. You guys know, I've discussed this before. My father was in the merchant services credit card processing business. Not the issuing side, right? The issuing side is when you give somebody a credit card. The banks do that. The acquiring side, helping businesses accept credit cards, and did that for a quarter century. Passed away in June. I have taken over that whole world. Yeah, I know. 2 radio shows, no, 3 radio shows and everything else. And yes, I run this business. It has to get run. My mother still depends on it. We do this. We help people. It actually is. Sometimes it's like a really interesting break. And then I look at how my father like did things like as I'm digging in, like something like that's kind of inventive, and something like, oh, Dad, why did you make it so difficult? So I know a little something here, not as much as others, but I'd say I could hold my own. It doesn't prevent fraud. What Joy Reid is in favor of is telling people what they're allowed to charge. She should get paid millions, but you should only get paid what she thinks is morally correct. These people are terrible. Let it continue.
What happens if that goes away?
So look, terrible for individuals, but stop and think overall about the social contract. Part of the deal in how we've kept this democracy, this economy, this country on a fairly steady path for more than 200 years has been that those at the top pay a little more in taxes, are a little less rich than they otherwise might be.
No part of that is true. When the country was formed, there was no income tax. There were luxury taxes, all sorts of things that existed. Taxes did exist, but there was no income tax. And income tax is an abomination. Saying that the government has a right to the fruits of my labor is a form of slavery. It should be absolutely eliminated, ripped asunder. And the federal income tax has never done an ounce of good in the country. It has only divided people. It has been utilized as a cudgel against the American people. It has been utilized to stifle people and prevent free speech, a la the Tea Party in the days of Lois Lerner. No good has ever come from the federal income tax, ever in the history of ever. Fight me, bro. The social contract is not predicated on the idea that government takes from one group and gives to another group. That's Marxism, you commie monster. From each according to their measure, to each according to their need. That's Karl Marx. That's not George Washington. That isn't how we do it. We do it, government's hand off, everybody stays out of your way, you go create your life. Have a good time. That's America. Rightfully so, and better than the rest. So here is the commie monster. What? Well, I can't call her commie monster. I meant every word of it. I'm apologizing for nothing. Communist, I don't know. Monster. It's the best word for it. The best word for it. Totally misrepresenting the country and pushing this idea of fair share. A fair share, by the way, more communist claptrap. But let's go on.
And everybody else at least gets a chance. Yeah. And what happens when you turn this into the billionaires run it all is they get the opportunity to squeeze every last penny. Yeah.
I thought this was a conversation about healthcare. Oh, see, the billionaires are bad and the billionaires deserve what they get. So this is all about the billionaires and not actually about the healthcare industry. This isn't about the regulations that you, a senator, could have worked on for the last number of years. Oh, I've worked diligently. No, it seems that you don't even have an understanding of how the country came to be, nor what our standard rules are. So how could you possibly have worked on anything diligently to some level of effect? But here's the big one.
And look, we'll say it over and over. Violence is never the answer. This guy gets a trial who's allegedly killed the CEO of United Health. But you can only push people so far. And then they start to take matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? Because that's exactly what happened on January 6th. So maybe you want to let those people out of jail now. They were pushed. They were pushed too damn far. They were pushed way too blank and far. So now they had to take things into their own hands. So, let's let them out of jail. I don't think I'm the only person who listens to that and hears Elizabeth Warren, the senator from Massachusetts, being sympathetic towards this murderer, alleged murderer. We've seen this from the political left everywhere. Sympathetic to this killer. sympathetic to that monster. These people deserve what they get. See, if they would just let us take their money, everything would be better. Well, no, she actually believes in socialized medicine and government controlling your health care, which, of course, is not going to do you any good. These people, they've given up the ghost on even pretending to hide their progressivism. They are who they are. They're communists, Marxists, monsters. And once you break down what they say, you are left with the same exact thought. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Good to be back. So I actually had to block somebody in the comments. First time, maybe a first time I've done that. If you want to call this murderer a hero, you can do that elsewhere. I don't need to be any part of that. Thank you so very much. Yeah, all gone. Bye, William. And then there was this from Nico, the story in the New York Times that talks about China hacking into our phone network. But this is the part, Nico, that I would warn against. Alarming new breach of American infrastructure. You mean the first time we've been told about it? You mean it's 2024 and this is the first time they've hacked into a phone network? Nah. I'm not trying to give a short shrift. I'm not trying to say it isn't important. Please don't get me wrong. I'm just saying once you think about it, you're like, yeah, there's no way this was the first time. There's just no way this was the first time that took place. That's exactly it. But I'll look into that story, and see if there's something different about it. Well, here, that's the Guardian. You had it from the New York Times. Oh, yeah, this happened weeks ago. There's a story 3 weeks ago in the New York Times. Officials more concerned. Well, what are we going to do about it? You understand, the minute you ask that question, like I understand how important this election was, right? Because with Kamala Harris, you would have had zero done about it. Zero. And I'm waiting to see how much we'll have done by Trump about it. And it better be a lot. Usually the first cigar of the day is a Connecticut for me. It's not always true. I happen to be a big fan of the La Galera Connecticut. That's what I'm smoking right now. I think it's a really well done piece. For me, it has a spice that cuts through, but it's not a coffee note. It's not a cream note. almost want to say it's a sweet nutty kind of taste that works. I just think it's great. Sometimes I pair it with coffee. Sometimes today it's a Diet Coke. I do Diet Coke with a cigar. It keeps the palate clean, right? Regular Coke or even Coke Zero, too much sweets on the other side, and it kind of hurts the cigar as far as I'm concerned. So that's that. But I do like that cigar, and very often to the extent that I do a morning cigar or mid morning cigar. There it is. Usually it's a little later in the day when I begin, but here I am. So that's that. Back to the show. In a shocking new finding, so shocking I can't even believe that I'm discussing it with you. High fructose corn syrup is linked to cancer.
Okay, people, move along. There's nothing to see here.
No kidding. There are some things that get discussed as startling findings. Startling. Washington University in St. Louis reveals that dietary fructose promotes tumor growth in animal models of melanoma, breast cancer, and cervical cancer. Then there's a study that in the journal Nature saying that fructose does not directly fuel tumors. I'm not a doctor, but I do have a stethoscope. You don't have to ask why. There are reasons. I'm saying sugar is always the problem, and high fructose corn syrup is insane. I limited it in my kids. You know what? Turns out my kids didn't grow up fat like me. So that's a win. I'm Tony Katz. Oh, that was the concern. Oh, the kids, I was the fat kid, and that was not fun, just to be clear. So I was concerned. And so we did a couple of them. I mean, we didn't limit them from trying things. And certainly when we were on vacation, like eat whatever you want. Right. But in the everyday stuff, like we didn't have juice in the house, orange juice. I like orange juice. It's an empty calorie. Eat an orange. It's a different way of viewing things. And turns out I got healthy kids who take care of themselves and are focused. It's like, oh, whew, I feel good about that. Maybe I got that one right. That was that. Yeah, when you're a parent, it is the little things. It is the little things. Glad you guys were here, as we often do. Stream the first hour of the show. I really do appreciate it. There was a stream issue. I don't know what it is, but we'll get it fixed. We will get that taken care of for you. So we'll have more of that coming up. And find everything over at TonyKatz.com. I'd appreciate it if you would head over there. Join us at TonyKatz.com, on the X at Tony Katz, Instagram Tony Katz, Facebook Tony Katz Radio. I appreciate you guys heading over to all those spots. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. And can't thank you enough. I got some more show to do. You can listen to WIBC.com if you want to keep listening to the show. Happy to have you there. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you next time.